Sometimes we need this given a date, we need to figure out what is the last day of the month. So the function that we use for this is EO month. EO month. Okay. EO month is the function name. So what does it accept? It will first take the date, which is A2 in our case, right? And then it says months, right? It will take it as a number, right? So we don't know much about it right now. We can of course read the help file, but let's experiment for a moment. Let's say 1. Let's say 1 and see what happens. So what you get, 31st of August, right? Which clearly means the last day of the next month, right? So which means if I give this as 1, it goes to the next month and gives you the last date of the next month. So now logically, if you think about it, if I give 0, things should be fine, right? And it is. So if I give 0 as a number of months, which is telling Excel that you stay in the same month, don't go to the next month. So if you write 0, it stays in the current month, which is July, and therefore gives you the last day of the month as 31st of July, right? And then what happens if you give -1? Then it becomes 30th of June, which means now you've told Excel to go to the previous month and gives the last day of the previous month, which is 30th of June. Okay, so EO month, pretty useful function when you're working with dates. Okay, so remember this function. But let's find out the last day of the month using another function, another way of doing it, right? So whenever you get this, whenever you have this problem and you have encountered this situation where you have to find out the last day of the month, please do use the function EO month. Use EO month. You don't have to do what I'm about to do now. But what I'm about to do now is useful because it'll help you understand the way Excel works with date better, right? It will just clarify things for you. That's the reason I'm doing this. But EO month is the function to be used if you have to find out the last day of the month. Okay, so let's see what can we do with this. What is the other way of doing the same thing? Well, there's a function called date, right? There's a function called date, and what does it do? If you give it some year, a month, and a day, it returns a date. It returns a date. Okay, so the first thing that date function is looking for is year. So let's give it a year. So year A2. Correct? I can do this, right? Then it says month. I can write this. Okay. So this month A2, as we know, will return 7. July, because in the return 7, we've just done that. Just a few minutes back, we've done that, right? So now let's do one thing. Let's say let's add +1 to it. Okay, +1 to it, which means it's now 8, right? And then say 1 as day. Day as 1. So what is it that I have done? I've said 2017. No, not 2017, sorry, 2016, 8 and 1. So no wonder this returns 1st of August. The first day of the next month. This is first day of the next month. If this is first day of the next month, so logically, if I just subtract 1 from it, which means if I give 0, I should get the last day of this month. And that's what I get. Last day of this month. Okay. And all this is possible, remember, because the way Excel stores dates as numbers. That's the reason you can simply add stuff. Add num1 to date and subtract from date and so on and so forth. Okay. So Excel stores date as numbers. It's just that when you want to display that, It changes the format. It reads the number, changes the format, and shows it to you, displays it to you in a format which is like a date. But it's always stored as a number, right? That's the reason why we can do this stuff. Do these things with Excel. Okay? Clear, is it? It's clear, right? All of you? No issues anywhere?
No, sir.
Okay, great. So what you do now is find out the first day of the next month. Do it. Take a few seconds and find out the first day of the next month, and then I go to the next few things. Don't just do what I just did. I mean, think about doing it in other fashion. What else can you do and all that stuff? So think about it. Just keep exploring these options and see. Okay, so assume it's done. Should be done, right? Good. Now let's go to the next one, which is waste date. You may not be aware of what is waste date. Right? It's a technical term, but let's not worry about what does it mean technically. Let me just quickly tell you what it means actually. Practice. What it means is, for example, it will be easy for you to understand if I give you an example. So let's say you buy a policy, right? You buy a policy today, 4th of June, 4th of June 2018, and the policy, let's say, matures after 5 years, right? So your maturity date will be 4th of June 2023, right? The maturity date will be 4th of June 2023. Just add 5 years to that. So of course you can do that. Of course you can add stuff and do it, but there's a function which can help you do it, which is called edate. Edate, right? So what does this do? You take A2, the first parameter as start date, the policy, for example, let's say it starts, right? And then the second parameter is months. How many months do you want to add? So when I said 5 years, you cannot write 5 because this will accept it in months. So when you're looking for 5 years, I'll have to add 60 to it, right? So that's 5 years, 5 into 12, 60. And this gives you the date after 5 years. So I have 5th of July, 2016. So if I add 5 years to that, I get 5th of July 2021. So sometimes it helps, in certain cases. So for example, if you have a birthday and you want to figure out when your employee turns 30 or 35 or something like that, so or rather after 5 years, what's his age and so on and so forth. So you can use those edate functions and okay, great. The next thing we do is days in future. Okay, days in future. Now, the function that we'll use for this is, just give me a second, because what I really meant is not days in future, right? Just give me a second. Number of days, networking days, right? So this is work days in future, working days, right? So that's what I meant. I wrote days in future, right? So this is working days, right? Now, before we find out or determine the number of working days in future, right? So if someone says that you have what is the date after 15 days, right? If you write A2 plus 15, correct? You get the date after 15 days, right? So A2 plus 15. You just add up and you get the date after 15 days, right? But then what happens is, when you're talking about working days, and if you're talking about 15 working days, then you cannot just add plus 15, right? Because you have weekends and holidays and so on and so forth. So to take care of that, you cannot just simply add 15, right? So how do you do that in Excel? If you don't have to worry about working days and just days in future, this is what you do, right? Very simple. But when it's working days, then you need to use a particular function, which is workday.intl. Okay, workday.intl. Right? Now here's how it works. Start date. So when is your start date? And I'll give A2, right? A2, 5th of July. And then I say days, how many days? And I'll give 15 working days. This means 15 working days. And then there are two optional parameters, right? You can end it here and simply close the bracket and say enter, right? Then you just add 15, correct? The default, it takes that. Okay, let me come to that in a moment. Let me just talk about the third parameter and then I'll talk about it, right? So I'll come back to why you got 26 here. So the third parameter is the weekend parameter, and it gives you a lot of options. So one option is Saturday, Sunday is weekend. The other option is Sunday, Monday is weekend, and so on and so forth. There's a number of options. Only Sunday is in weekend, and so on and so forth, right? So there are a number of options. So for example, in Middle East, the weekend is not Saturday and Sunday. In the Middle East, the weekend is different, right? So you can choose the weekend that you are looking for here. So that's a very cool function right here. So you can select the weekend. So let's go for excuse me. Let's go for one, which is Saturday and Sunday, right? And then I have holidays, right? Next I have holidays, which again is an optional parameter. Now here you see, if I do not give this option, what do I get? 26/7. If I give it as 1, I get 26/7, right? Which means if you do not provide a parameter for the a value for the third parameter, the default is taken as 1, meaning the default is Saturday, Sunday, holiday. Okay, so that's what that's how this function works, right? Now, if you think that 1 is not the thing that I want, for example, if you're looking for, let's say, work days in the Middle East, for example, and if I go for Thursday, Friday, I'd give 6, and then I'll get a particular value, right? Or if I go and say only, let's say, only Friday, Thursday, then you get, only Thursday, which is 15, right? Then you get 23rd. So 15 working days after 5th of July is 23rd of July. But when you say 1, which is Saturday, Sunday, you get 26th of July. Okay, great. Now, the next one,
Sir,
is, let me finish, and I'll come back.
All right.
The next one is holidays, right? So let's see how we work with holidays here. Now, this is, days when your office is closed outside of week. So what we can do now here is we can create this column and name it as holidays. Okay, and add some dates here. So for example, I'll add 5th of July, right? So let's say 7th of July 2016, and 5th is Tuesday, right? So 4th, 3rd is Sunday, 10th, 11th, and so the 11th Monday is also a holiday, right? So I've added these 2 days to the list of holidays, and I can keep adding this, as and when required. Now, how do I work with this holidays? So I go back here, and here I say holidays, these 2, right? So Q2, Q3. Okay, Q2, Q3. And then I press enter, and now I get 27th as my 15 days after the working days. Now I can also do a Q2 to Q10 or something like that, in case I want to add holidays later on. And as you keep adding, for example, if you add it as 12/7/2016, then you can see that it doesn't change. Why doesn't it change? Did I make a mistake somewhere? One is Saturday, Sunday, right? Q2 to Q4. What is 11? 11 would be, just give me a second, let me check. Yeah, it's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, so this should change. Q2 to Q4. This is 27th, which is fine. If I give Q2 to Q3.
Sir, I think the problem is in the format.
Format is DDMM MMYY.
Sir, your format is MMDDYY.
Okay. Got it.
So it is taking 11th.
This is the problem that we sometimes have, right? So give me a second. So this is it has been taken as November, right? So 7th, 11th, right? And this is 7, 12, right? And now you can see that this has increased. Okay, so this is how you can do. So instead of Q2 to Q3, you can write Q2 to Q10, right? Keep adding holidays to that list and Excel will take care of it, right? So that is Workday. So Workday.international INTL function. Yeah, now tell me, someone was asking a question and I said I'll come back to you later. Okay, now can you ask, please?
Sir, Workday.intl is not available in 2007 version, I suppose, because it is not showing here.
No, it's not. So you have to make do with Workday, just the Workday function, right? So you have to use this one, the previous one, but this doesn't allow you to choose weekends depending on the zone, the region, right? So this is the new thing that they have introduced from 2013, I think, right? So when you if you get an opportunity, please do upgrade, or if you cannot, when you are in campus, please do switch to 2016. Okay. Good. So fine, all of you. This is fine. Okay. Good. Now let's look at the next one, which is last Monday. So sometimes, given a date, you'd like to figure out the date on last Monday. So for example, here, this is Tuesday, right? So please switch off your mic. Please switch off your mic. Please switch off your mic. Right. So last Monday. So the first date that I have with me is a Tuesday, right? So if I do this, if I say A2 minus 1, right? If I do A2 minus 1 and changed it to long date, right? I can see that it's a Monday, right? Obviously, because it's a Tuesday, if I subtract 1 from it, I'll definitely get the date Monday, right? So this is what it is. But if I have lots of such dates, I cannot keep looking at the date and then appropriately subtract the number of days. So what is the function which can help me do this without having to check how many days that I should subtract or do it manually? What can I do so that I can just simply write that particular function, right? Write that particular formula. So what we do is we'll learn the function called Weekday. Okay, a function called Weekday. Now let's learn that function. So what I do is first let's start with today's date, right? And you don't really have to type today's date because this is a function today. There's a function today. You can simply type today, and there you get it, 4th of June. Okay, and then you can simply say +1. right? You can simply say +1, right? Just as you add numbers, you can add dates. I mean days to your date, and keep changing this. So this is 5th of June, 6th of June, so on and so forth. I need 7 days actually. So I have 7 days. So today is Monday, right? Today is Monday. So this is Monday and this is Sunday, correct? So I have from Monday to Sunday. Okay, good. Now, think about the problem that we've been asked to solve. We'll be given a date, correct? And then to figure out how many days you have to subtract so that you get the Monday of that week. Okay? So if you're given a Wednesday, you subtract 2. If you're given a Thursday, you subtract 3. If it's a Monday, you subtract 0. You don't subtract that. And if it's a Sunday, you subtract 6. Does that make sense? Right? Does it make sense? Good. So that is what you have to do. Now let's look at the weekday function. Let's look at the weekday function. What does this do? Weekday. Serial number, which is, as you know, I can give this date. And then the optional parameter, return type. Now look at these return types. Okay. The first one says Sunday is 1 and Saturday is 7. That's the first option. The second option is Monday is 1, Sunday is 7. Okay, which is the way we sort of keep track of our dates, right? But that's not exactly what I want, because what I want is that if I'm given a Monday, I will subtract 0 from that. And if I've given a Sunday, I'll subtract 6 from that. That's what I'm really looking for. Which means what serves my purpose is the third option, which is Monday 0, Sunday 6. So now if I say 3, right, what do I get? This has become a date, so I just have to select this and make it a number or a general. Does it make sense? Is everybody with me? You're fine, right? I don't think should be a problem. Yeah, okay, right? Great. So weekday, the date, and if you give 3, so this is 0. And now when I drag and drop, I get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Correct. So now if from this date I subtract 6, what do I reach? I reach 4th of June, which is a Monday. Correct? So given any day now, weekday will tell me exactly how many days to subtract to reach the last Monday. Okay? And now I can use this logic and get to this number. I mean this result. So what I'm going to do is simply say A2 minus weekday, right? Weekday A2 and 3. Okay, A2 minus weekday A2 3. And then if you just simply drag and drop, you'll see all your dates are Mondays. So this is beginning the first day of the week. So Monday of the week of the date that is there in the corresponding column. Now tell me if you're fine or if you